Não é tempo técnico, mas é intervalo aqui no podcast. Já imaginou se seu time tivesse um seguro para não perder nunca? Pois é, isso não existe. Mas com a Zurich Seguros, quem não perde nunca é você. Na Zurich Seguros, os planos se adequam às suas necessidades em qualquer momento da sua vida. Seja seguro de auto, residência, vida e muito mais. Diferente de alguns times, na Zurich Seguros você pode confiar. Para saber mais, acesse zurich.com.br ou consulte seu corretor.
Sair da escola já com uma formação profissional no currículo? Parece bom demais pra ser verdade, né? Pois é. No ensino técnico do Senac, isso é possível. É ensino médio junto com formação técnica, que acontece durante os 3 anos. Lá, eles usam metodologia para projetos, desenvolvendo competências como resolução de problemas, pensamento crítico e colaboração, além de valores éticos e sustentáveis. Quer saber? Senac. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino médio e saiba mais.
You see your boys, White Sox off-season review.
I saw them complaining. They were complaining about their low pay, how it's slave labor. And I'm like, your team doesn't even get paid. Like, how are you expecting to be monetized and like 10 people come to the stadium? You can walk up that day and buy White Sox tickets and sit right behind home plate. How do I know? Because I've done it.
I might try that this summer just to see, just to needle them. Like, hey, look, I got behind home plate tickets for $18.
18? Well, I bought tickets. I didn't buy tickets this year. Wasn't that long ago. I bought tickets for $7 for the upper deck and just moved down to the first. Nobody was there.
Dang, Ryan Stuff's not even paying security?
No.
That's how they got guns in the Comiskey, because Ryan's not paying the bills. You need to get TSA involved, the federal government to cover security for you, Ryan. So
Trump might deport the Sox if they keep messing around. He might deport something. They a team of unpaid Venezuelans and Dominicans anyways. Trump might definitely get them out of there. Garrett Crochet, when their last great white hopes was sent away, so probably going to be replaced by some guy who barely speaks English and can barely pitch. I don't know about fans, y'all team might get deported soon.
And I don't think anybody's going to protest this. You know, usually when they do all this ICE activities, it's an issue, right? You know, like is this right? Is it wrong? You know, we got to battle about this. If ICE pulls up 35th and Shields, my hands is off. I'm like, hey, maybe you got a point. All right, man. But
what they did for baseball last year was definitely criminal. But you know what? We don't need to do a White Sox podcast. We're gonna let JJ3 and Eggo do it. Harry, y'all got this. I like the show. They're very entertaining. JJ3 more entertaining than the baseball product, I'll tell you that.
Very. Don't even watch White Sox games. Just listen to them. Just watch them. That's what you will definitely get your bang for your buck there. Especially with Harry and his R. Kelly jokes and his deportation jokes and his all of his crude humor. I enjoy it.
There is a lot of irony in Harry making deportation jokes. That is the black calling the kettle black.
Black being the operative word. All right. We talked about the Reinsdorf teams and their issues, losing products. We're here to talk about another losing Chicago squad, the Chicago Bears, losers of 7 in a row. We play on Monday Night Football. Once again, an opportunity to embarrass ourselves in front of company. National football eyes are going to be on the Bears and wondering, how did this team lose 7 in a row? Let me find out for myself. Q, I'm going to just get this out the way now. Do the Bears make it 8 in a row?
Yes.
I agree.
And with this 8 in a row, can this go on Eberflus record? Like, is this still part of his resume? I feel like it should still count for him You know, it's kind of like when you're pitching. I know I'm tired of, I know we'll probably get tired of talking baseball, but if you get pulled in the middle of the fourth inning and you left runners on base and those guys score, they're still charged to your and this is Met and these losses still get charged to Eberflus. Like he left the runners on base. He got yanked out of the inning.
I would love for them to charge it to Eberflus. Yeah, I would love to charge it to the game to him. Like, you know what? It's your fault. Just throw it all on him, right? I mean, if your boy got locked up for he got caught doing some dirt, right? And they started throwing. He was already guilty of that dirt that he did. But you know what? You know, if I can spring you and eat your charge too, might as well. Right?
You got life anyway.
Right.
You'll never be a head coach again. You might as well take all these charges.
Take them all. Help the block out. Unfortunately, Q, it doesn't work that way, especially with certain demographics working against Thomas Brown, mind you.
Yeah.
And personally, they don't have the excuse anymore. Last week, that game was that week leading up to the last week's game against the San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot of confusion going on. I can give you a mulligan for that. This one, you already know what you have to do. Everyone is in place. It's on you, bro. I'm hoping that new coach bump was delayed a week. It's got to happen. It's no more excuses. If you get tossed around like a rag doll on Monday night, the best start to a job interview process for Thomas Brown.
Not at all, Thomas. I actually don't want to give him a mulligan for the last game. You had a week and a half off. You know, you had a Thursday game. Eberflus was fired. What was the fire? Friday or Saturday?
Friday morning.
Okay, so you had Friday afternoon. The 49ers were still playing football while you were in preparation for them. They still had a game to play. So, still pulling for you, Thomas, but you got to at least be competitive. 38-13 won't cut it, especially when we saw this same 49ers team the week before they played you, and then a few days after they played you, look like bombs. They mustered less than 20 points in 8 quarters that you were sandwiched in between. But in the 4 quarters they played you, they scored damn near 40. That's not going to cut it with me. I've been patient enough as a Bears fan. I've been patient enough as a Bears podcaster. I've been patient enough as a Bears lifer. I don't have any more patience. You know, I'm like a scarred ex jumping head first into the dating pool. Everybody gonna pay for the last pool I was in. The next person I meet, you're gonna have to deal with all this emotional baggage. I'm sorry, Thomas Brown. Not sorry. I come with red flags and baggage, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
That's what the Bears do to you. That's what a lot of these Chicago teams do to you. They give you trauma. They give you trauma that you put.
Chicago people too.
Yeah, Chicago people as well.
You ever dealt with any of them? Yeah.
Especially the ones out west.
Definitely the ones out west.
If they say their favorite chicken spot is Uncle Raymond's, back away slowly. It's traumatic right there. That's a red flag. The Bears tend to do that. They leave a bad impression on you. They ruin your weekends. They've been ruining my Sundays for 7 weeks in a row. And I take that anger and roll it over to Monday. And Mondays suck enough. But now compounded with a bad Sunday, it's just a bad start to the week.
At least the Bears can't ruin our Sunday this Sunday.
That's the silver lining. That's the silver lining.
And they couldn't ruin the last Sunday. No. They couldn't ruin the Sunday before. So we've had a couple Sundays they couldn't ruin.
That's a silver lining, Q. I take that. And I think that should be the theme of this episode. Silver linings. We agree that we don't think the Bears are going to pull it out. No, Diddy. We don't think the Bears are going to win this game on Monday Night Football. But what can they do good that at least doesn't ruin the night for us?
Caleb Williams developed. And we don't have our favorite Caleb hater on air right now. But there are good things happening. Yeah. there are good things happening with Caleb. The interception streak is pretty impressive. Just even in a game that was a mess like the 49ers, you still saw good things. You saw some good throws. You saw him escape from pockets collapsing, escape edge rushers. You're still seeing good things. Unfortunately, the Bears just looked like a mess, and from the first drive, they couldn't stop the 49ers at all to make it a game. But you saw the good things, and you saw reason to be excited about the development of this franchise and of the face of the franchise from Caleb. So I want to see Caleb continue to play turnover-free football, make some big-time throws, and just continue developing. That's what I look forward to seeing. Also, Roma Dunze, because I think he's going to be a pivotal part of this rebuild or this retool or whatever we got going. He's going to be a pivotal part for whatever coaching staff or front office comes in moving forward to build around, and it's in passing attack. So those are the things I'm looking forward to.
Let's use that as a segue to the game preview. The Bears are playing the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have the number 29 passing defense in the league. Since Thomas Brown took over, we don't really run the ball that much anyway, right? As on the flip side of that, the Minnesota Vikings have the number 2 rushing defense. They don't give up much on the ground. You can just look at their record. They can begin to explain why they have such a bad passing defense, because teams are chasing it, right? They're 11-2, and so teams have got to put the ball.
They also aren't strong at corner though either. Let's also highlight that. So yeah, they have a strong run defense and they've been up, but they're not very good at corner. To be honest with you, they're not good at corner.
I'll take that, and I think that's where we can get our silver lining. Ding, ding. That is where we can possibly maybe even have a potential upset. It's got to come from the passing game. Got to come from Caleb Williams. Obviously, it's got to come from Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and hopefully a Cole Kmet sighting.
Pay them $50 million. You might as well make use of them, I don't know if I paid a tight end $50 million, I would game plan around some, maybe get him involved a little bit.
I would definitely be happy if he is featured early and often against the Minnesota Vikings, as this is the first week of fantasy playoffs.
Shout out to Brock Purdy. Speaking of fantasy playoffs, I started him this week, and he gave me nothing. Now I am digging myself out of a hole. Shout out everybody in that Thursday night matchup, because I don't care who you had. You didn't get what you needed for the start of fantasy league playoff. Shout out to the people who started Cooper Kupp. Boy,
oh God.
Yeah,
I got him in 2 leagues.
Last week, I previewed my 2025 fantasy team and said I would not be taking those from the majority demographic, and this confirmed it. Sorry, C-Mac. Sorry, Cooper Kupp. No Aaron Rodgers. No Brock Purdy. Is Josh Allen Caucasian?
Very much so. I think he's from. He went to North Dakota, and I think he's actually from the Northeast, upper Northeast, right?
He's going to be the exception to my fantasy rule. Ricky Pearsall, not even on my roster anymore, but he's the reason why I'm not in the playoffs in one league. We pause this podcast. I'm going to say something that's probably offensive. I want to again after what he did to me a couple weeks ago. Because one wasn't enough. He didn't learn his lesson. Sorry. When you put a 0 in somebody's lineup and you're starting, get upset. Probably wasn't the best thing to say. Hope the people of Fans First Sports Network don't punish me or anybody cancel me. I do apologize. I'm gonna get ahead of the fallout, and I'm gonna issue a on-air apology right now. I apologize for the comments I made of Ricky. Isn't that how it works? You apologize. I apologize. That is not like me, and that those views don't express the views of Fans First Sport Network or frustrated Chicago sports fans.
That's right. What about Lad McConkey?
Ladd is an exception. Although he got hurt on me and I missed the playoffs in that league too. He didn't play last week and he was actually coming through. You know what? Nah, he can't play either. He's too frail. I'm done with him. I'm done with Uncle.
Back to our game, not the fantasy games. The Bears versus Vikings. Caleb Williams, in the previous time we played the Minnesota Vikings, Caleb Williams, his stat line looked like this: 32 of 47 for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, all in the fourth quarter. Was it mine? Wasn't it? Yeah, all in the fourth quarter, I think. He only took 3 sacks. Only took 3 sacks. I think that's the biggest number.
And the Vikings were coming that game.
Yeah, they were. They were so sending them.
I think he was 8 of 11 or something. He had a very good passer rating against the blitz, and the Vikings usually make quarterbacks look bad when they blitz.
We all have trauma against Vikings pressure. We lost a quarterback to Vikings pressure last year.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. So, and he had a quarterback rating of 103. He has a lot of plus 100 quarterback rating games this season. Quarterback
in the midst of absolute organizational chaos, turmoil, instability.
That's the one thing I do like about Caleb this season. He's been unflappable, and a lot of everything around him. He's that meme of the dog sitting in the chair, everything's on fire going around. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
He's also that meme. He's just a chill guy. Elsewhere in the offense from that game, DJ Moore, he had a dope game. He had a pass. I don't know why he had a pass. That was a stupid play. Don't call that play again. Thomas.
Was that one of Waldron's last things he did?
That was Thomas Brown's.
Okay, that was one of the first things Thomas. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that again. The DJ Moore in that game, he had a pass. He also had 7 catches for 106 yards and a touch. Keenan Allen, he had 9 catches on 15 targets. 15 targets, 9 catches, 86 yards, a tutty. And Cole Kmet, as we talked about him, he was very active this game. 7 catches, 64 yards. Roma Duze, 5 catches for 39. I think I can see this happening again. We're going in their building on Monday Night Football. They're gonna be wearing their white jerseys. They're trying to clown on us wearing all white and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on that fast track with these type of athletes, it's go time.
Yeah, I love to see the Bears show out. Love to see it. Not confident. Well, actually, I do think the offense will accomplish some things. But the injuries on the defense piling up, just the trajectory of our season, yeah, it's favoring the Vikings for this one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I mean, the Vikings their season has been less chaotic. Kevin O'Connell is a pretty good coach. He's a pretty good offensive mind. I expect them to win, but I expect the Bears to compete as well. Last week, I'm giving them a mulligan because of all the chaos surrounding the team. I expect at the second time seeing this squad, I expect them to have a similar showing and have a showing that's not unbecoming of themselves. This is on Monday Night Football, ESPN. If you haven't watched the Bears before and you're curious as to what's been going on with the number 1 draft pick, why is this team on a 7-game losing streak? Why has this team had to fire an offensive coordinator and a head coach in the season? You're probably tuning in. Not the other Monday Night Football game. You're tuning into this one because you're interested in answering some of those questions. I don't think the Bears are going to show anybody why. I think they're just going to put their best foot forward against this team who's ripe to be exposed through the air.
Agreed.
I wish actually that I actually had some more Bears to put in my fantasy lineups now that we're thinking about it, as opposed to DK Metcalf and JSN, Jackson Smith and Juka in one league, Garrett Wilson and T Higgins in another league.
I got a Garrett T Higgins combo in the league and missed the playoffs by a game. That was a combo.
In the league that I have T Higgins and Garrett Wilson, I'm actually number 1 seed. I don't know.
Who are your running backs? Man, Garrett will hit you with a good game, and it's not all Garrett being garbage. It's a lot of that former Packer quarterback being garbage.
Yeah.
So T, there's just games T's not going to get featured in, like last week. It was a chase show. So and then T is hurt a lot. Garrett, unfortunately, he got rid of one trash quarterback in Zach Wilson, and they brought him another one.
Unfortunately, in that league, I have Bucky Irving running around as my flex for the most part. Devon A-Chain, Jahmyr Gibbs. But here's the cherry on. I got Trey McBride too, the tight end. But cherry on top is my quarterback.
Number one, you got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Trey McBride. So you got some
cherry on top. My quarterback.
Who's
my Black America's favorite quarterback.
Lamar.
That's
why you're number 1. Lamar and Josh have been carrying some fantasy teams this year. Man, I wish I would have got one of those 2 quarterbacks. That I got Patty. In the league, I got Garrett and T. I got Patty. And boy, Patty's been frustrating the hell out of me this year.
Oh, man, that sounds like a 4-win team.
7-win team. I got Jahmyr running back in that league. 7-win team. I got Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. I already told you I got T and Garrett Wilson. I really should be 8-5, but I benched Jerry Jeudy when he went off for 200-something yards. Started Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen did have 2 touchdowns against the Lions, but I lost by about 13 points. And Jeudy would have had more than those 13. I started Garrett and T, and they didn't really come through for me.
That sounds about right. Garrett and T, they've, if I get 10 points out of them, I've been happy. So DeAndre Swift, he's the other part of that offense that I didn't talk about from the last time the Bears played the Vikings. DeAndre Swift, in the passing game, he did have 3 catches for 35 yards. And he, as a rusher, he only had 30 yards on the ground as a rusher. He's been dealing with a groin injury for the last 2 weeks. And as of right now, the Bears official injury report, he was able to log a limited practice session today, Saturday, as we're recording this. And so he is carrying a questionable designation into Monday night. Questionable means they got to, he's going to have to try it pregame, and then they'll decide whether or not he's a full go or not. If he can't play, that means we are definitely taking an L, because Travis Homer now moves up into RB1 with Roshan Johnson still being out for concussions. What is up with concussions in this team?
Man, Roshan and Jaquan Brisker are physical guys, and they use their head a lot being physical. They got to stop using their head. Please, guys, y'all are too important.
Man, this would be his 4th straight game missed?
Roshan or Jaquan?
Roshan.
I think this would be the 3rd. I want to say 3rd. Jaquan has been out the entire losing streak.
Let's blame the losing streak on Jaquan.
Speaking of national TV and tuning into the Bears, what do you make of the Bill Belichick rumors about him having interest in the Bears?
I don't make much about it. I know you was interested in having Bill coach the Bears. I was not. I didn't want to.
I wanted Jim Harbaugh.
I remember last year you said, well, maybe it's not you. Maybe I'm talking about somebody else.
I would take a flyer on Bill as an interview, but Bill was not in my top 3 candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Bill was just outside the top 3.
There's a healthy portion of Bears Nation who were interested in Bill Belichick. I was not a part of that.
The only thing Bill can offer me at this point is I do believe he will be able to put together a really good staff. Do I think Bill still has it? The best thing Bill can offer is, he'll get the respect of the best coordinators and staff around the league. That's the only thing I have in Bill.
Maybe. For me, I think he's over. I think he's outside of his prime. In fact, I want to say he's washed as an NFL coach.
Do you think the UNC will be good for him?
Oh yeah, because he's instantly the best college coach, right? Whatever he can do down at that level, coach laps around them guys down there, right? Because mostly college,
you have to coach getting 5-star recruits, and people you're going up against are getting 2- and 3-star recruits. I mean, there's already people in the transfer portal interested in UNC.
Yeah, he should get every 4-star recruit that's still on the bench. Every one of them should hit the transfer portal to come right to Chapel Hill. For college coaches, they're mostly rah-rah guys. They got to be able to inspire. Bill, he's just the intellectual. He's just going to tell you X's and O's and tell you exactly what it is. And football players respect that. And that's one of the reasons why Eberflus lost the room, because you can't say dumb stuff and think that you can continue to talk to us. Because once we feel like you don't know what you're talking about, we're not going to listen to you at all.
You out. They're pros.
Yeah. Exactly. But Bill having what, 6 rings? If not even, he has more than 6 rings. He got rings with the Giants too. So all that cachet, all that stuff he said on the Pat McAfee show about being able to develop guys to be able to be successful.
They that up.
Oh yeah, I would eat it up. I would eat it up too. No Diddy.
If I had a son that was playing football, you better go talk to Bill. You want to play NFL? Because when NFL front office guys come and talk to college head coach when they're doing their scouting for the draft, Bill could talk to anybody in the NFL, and they're going to respect it. Guy instantly has a better chance than others at his same level. So, but I think the interesting part about that was we've heard so many stories, and I don't think they're capped as a young generation, that the Bears coaching job remains very attractive and the most attractive one on the market. I stand on that. I believe that when we've heard that, I believe that's true.
It should be, and I was getting to that point. Bill said that the Bears that he was looking at that Bears very closely, right? And everyone should.
He also called Caleb Williams an all-star talent surrounded by some mess.
And which is a fact. He is surrounded by a lot of crap, and he has talent, so much untapped talent, but also so much talent that we can see plainly with our eyes. Bill ain't lying. Like, the shout out Arsenio Hall from the barbershop scenes at Coming to America. He ain't lying.
That boy good.
That boy good.
Bill also made a comment about the Bears' offensive line that basically said it wasn't very good. For those of you who want to blame Caleb Williams for all the sacks, and that a guy that has a bunch of Super Bowl rings said the offensive line isn't good in front of him. It's a mess.
It's a mess, and it's been a mess for decades. So yeah, everything Bill said, it didn't raise any eyebrows or anything in me, because everything he said was, yeah, I agree. It's the truth. But I still don't want you as our coach. I think we need somebody a little bit more plugged in. Not to say that Bill can't relate to young people, because we obviously know he can, because his girlfriend is a classmate of my daughter's. I mean, that's how young she is. So I
relates to kids, all right.
yeah. So he could talk to Gen Z. He could get to them, but I just don't want him talking to Gen Zs on the Chicago lakefront. Stay away from them.
Chicago has a rich history of getting washed people to play and coach here. Shout out John Fox. Shout out Tony La Russa. First of all, Tony La Russa being brought back to manage after a decade plus of being an alcoholic is absolutely hilarious, and only something the White House would have on their resume.
That's that is embarrassing. If I was a Sox fan and they did that, it's so funny. Jerry will embarrass you, right? That's hilarious. For this game, DeAndre Swift. I already said the Minnesota Vikings #2 rushing defense in the league. DeAndre Swift didn't have a good show. He's coming into this game injured groin. So we're not expecting him to outkick the coverage. We're not expecting him to have a better game this time around. True or false?
I would say somewhat true, but I will say this. DeAndre Swift is one of those plus athletes you were describing, and he's on that carpet. A guy like that, shifty, with speed, you get him into that second level, he makes a guy miss, and it doesn't take much for him to be off to the races. So do I expect him to have a better game? I would say maybe slightly better, because I felt like the Vikings paid more attention to the Bears' run game in that first game than they did to Caleb. I think they felt like we can rattle this rookie and we can make him look bad, and it didn't happen. So I think they'll be diverting more attention towards the Bears' passing game. Could open things up for the running game, hopefully.
So DeAndre Swift had about 60 yards from scrimmage, over under 61.5 on Monday.
Oh, 61.5. Oh, man. I'm going to go slightly over. I think he'll be involved in the passing game. And I think, if you get DeAndre Swift enough touches, he's going to make somebody miss and he's going to have a big chunk game. So I could see one run being 15 yards, one dump off pass, and one screen going 18 plus yards. So you'd be halfway to 60 right there. Playing on that fast surface. I'm gonna roll with DeAndre over to 61. When you say scrimmage yards, I'll go with that. Now, if you said straight rushing yards, I probably lean towards the under. But if you say total scrimmage yards, I'm gonna lean towards the over.
Okay. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go slightly under. I got him as 58 yards total from scrimmage. Same question for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams had 340 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Over under 301.
Ooh. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under. I think he'll still be somewhere in the 200s. Another impressive performance, but 300 yards that's a burden to place on a young quarterback with such a porous offensive line. So I'm gonna go under the 301.
Does a streak of not throwing an interception continue? I think he's in the 250 attempts, and it's reached. He hasn't thrown an interception since week 6.
Yeah, that's impressive for not only a rookie, for anybody. He's at 255 attempts, and the NFL record is Aaron Rodgers at 401. And Aaron was really throwing a lot of 3-step during that year, and not taking chances. Something Aaron has done towards the latter part of his career to get there. It's not really realistic for any quarterback to go 400 plus attempts without throwing an interception. And going on the road, hostile environment against the Vikings defense, which does tend to blitz a lot, play a lot of zoning, and force turnovers. I'm going to say the streak will end, and there's nothing to hang your head about. Anytime you go 100 plus attempts without an interception, that's pretty good. You're doing pretty good if you only throw an interception once every 100 attempts. When you get to the 200 plus attempts without throwing a pick, that's really good. It will end, nothing to be ashamed about. That's a hell of a run. I can't recall any Bear quarterback going that many pass attempts without throwing an interception. Not since I've been watching the Bears.
Well, we had one quarterback who did nothing but throw interceptions. So if you can't remember any type of guy who was this type of careful with the ball, I blame him. In fact, I blame him for everything.
Yeah,
I blame this losing streak on him too.
I remember a guy that was able to throw an interception every quarter, and I was like, wow. In fact, he put somebody into the Pro Bowl one year when he threw 4 interceptions to them. I think 3 1/2. If anybody remembers D'Angelo Hall, he owes Jay Cutler for life.
God, what? We got bad luck. We bag on the Sox about being, going through it, but the Bears, oh wow. Cutler, I don't want to sidebar too far today, but I blame him for everything that bad happens with the Bears. I still blame him for it. Let's move over to the defense. So the defense has been going through it during this losing streak. Once was a top 5 maybe defense when we were first 6 weeks, first 7 weeks of the season. Now, after getting stumped on by the Arizona Cardinals, after getting stumped on by the San Francisco 49ers, after giving up 30 to the Vikings the first time, Bears defense is not as feared as it once was. And do you have a reason for this? I think I want to blame it. I want to blame it solely on them being frustrated in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Right. I want to blame it all on that. I don't want to say it's Eric Washington. He's a bad defensive coordinator. I want to blame that. I don't want to blame Eberflus as a bad play caller. I just want to blame it solely on the defense being frustrated with mounting losses and coaching decisions that cost them games. That's why the defense is taking a step back. You agree?
Oh, I agree. I also I don't like to get in the habit of blaming injuries, but I do think Jaquan Brisker was one guy we could ill afford to lose. I think he was the tone setter of that secondary. I know Jalen Johnson is an all-pro, but Brisker was a tone setter with big hits, excellent in run support, excellent blitzer, good in coverage. I mean, he's just a really good safety. And it's unfortunate because the last safety that I loved in Chicago had trouble with the injuries too. It's like you're seeing it again. So hopefully Brisker can get healthy, return at the end of this year, and stay healthy going forward. So yeah, I agree with everything you said, but I also noticed that the defense definitely took a little step back when Brisker got hurt though too.
So since he got hurt in the Carolina Panthers game, the defense is giving up 16 to the Jaguars, 18 to the Commanders, 29 to the Cardinals, 19 to the Patriots, and over 20 the next 4 weeks, 20 to the Packers, 30 to the Vikings, 23 to the Lions, and 38 to the San Francisco 49ers. So we've given up over 300 yards passing to 3 times since the bye week, 313 to the Commanders, 328 to the Vikings, and 321 this past week to the San Francisco 49ers. It could have been worse, but I'm going to circle into the Vikings game. So we did talk about Caleb. He had no issues with that Vikings defense. The Vikings defense is 29th in the league. Darnold didn't have any issues with the Bears passing defense either. His numbers mirror Caleb Williams. He threw for 330 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 3 times. But he won the game as well. What's our hope, or what's our chances to have him have a downturn this second time around?
With Darnold, it's getting pressure on him. I know you remember the quote he gave from when he played the Patriots years ago, seeing ghosts. With Darnold, you got to get pressure on him. You can't let him get comfortable. He turns into a different quarterback when you start hitting him and getting pressure on him. He starts to take chances and not good chances with the ball. So with Darnold, you got to hit him early and often, get pressure on him. And unfortunately, that's going to be a little bit harder with Javon Dexter not playing. So the pressure's got to come. This got to be a Montez Sweat game, type of game he had last year coming over. He hasn't had those big. I'm not saying he hasn't played well this year, but he certainly has not had the impact he had last year when he got traded here. And I believe last year it culminated with a Pro Bowl season. Won't be a Pro Bowler this year.
No. Very few Pro Bowlers on a 4-win team. I agree. Montez Sweat. And we talked about this in the offseason. Like, we can't expect Montez Sweat to have a repeat this season. He has to have some help. He has to have the defenses or the offenses focus in on someone else. And as you said, Javon Dexter, he's already been ruled out for this game. He didn't practice at all this week. So the Bears have ruled him out as well as Rashawn Johnson and Ryan Bates. It's getting pressure on him, and you can get the old Darnold back. We had thought the old Darnold was starting to come back, and then last week he had 5 touchdowns. 3 to Jordan Addison. We talk about him in a second, and 2 to Jefferson. No Javon Dexter. Is this a game where we need to dial up more nickel blitzes from Kyler Gordon just to recreate that type of pressure?
The Bears definitely got to dial up pressure and exotic looks. I don't think they can just get there on a 4-man front. I know the Vikings offensive line has suffered some injuries. They're still a really good offensive line, though. And we, quite frankly, aren't a very good defensive front, especially down Dexter. So, yes, the Bears are going to have to dial up pressure from different looks, not just the nickel, maybe get some exotic looks. One thing about Brian Flores, he will bring pressure from any and everywhere. Flores' defense leads the league in blitzing, not from the nickels, not just from the nickel spot, but they'll also blitz from the boundary, like the outside corner. That's something rare you don't see. That's pretty much sending a Jalen Johnson on a blitz. The Bears got to get creative with their packages for pressure. So they definitely have. You can't allow. I don't know if Aaron Jones is he playing? Is he on the injury list?
His status hasn't been ruled out or anything like that, but he did give 2 straight full practices on Friday and Saturday. So he's trending toward like to play.
He's also a guy who likes to fumble. He's
also
game. He's fumbled in a couple other games. We can't allow Aaron Jones to just do what he wants to do. Got to stop those big run plays. That's the main objective for the defense. Limit the run and then get the Darnold, because you can't have him sitting back in the pocket with time to throw to Addison and Jefferson and Hockenson. He's got too many weapons.
I hope he does fumble a clock. As a Bears fan, as somebody facing him in fantasy this week, I need 2 fumbles.
I'm facing Darnold. I'd like to see a Darnold fumble and 2 Darnold picks in the playoffs.
As we've talked about ad nauseum this season, the Bears have struggled defending tight ends. The Bears have struggled stopping the run, and the Bears lately have struggled defending the pass. What is the over-under? Let's put Sam Darnold's over-under at same thing we had at Caleb, 301 yards. Over-under.
Under.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones hasn't had a great season. I'm gonna put his line at 70 and a half yards. Over or under.
Jeez. Me having faith in the Bears of stopping a running back from going 70 yards. Over.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Over unless he gets an early fumble, because the last couple times he's had an early fumble, that's limited his touches in the game. So unless he gets an early fumble, I'm going to say over.
I need limited touches out of him because that's one of the leagues I played Cooper Kupp. So anything close to a 0 from my opponent, I need it because Cooper gave me jack. TJ Hockenson and the Minnesota Vikings tight ends. Will they combine for 7 catches?
Yeah, I think So I think the Bears would be careful not to allow Jordan Addison to completely wreck them and not allow Justin Jefferson to completely wreck them. So I believe they're going to pick their poison, and we know what Justin Jefferson will do when you pick him. Apparently, we found out what Jordan Addison can do when you pick him. So, yeah, I'll give that to them. The Vikings have been involved in that backup tight end. Jesus, his name is escaping me right now. Mainly use him as a blocker, but he's pretty good too. Saw him running around the other, whatever his name is. So I can believe their tight ends will combine for 7 catches.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that the Bears have stopped the tight ends from doing whatever they want, as you saw what Kittle did last week. Jordan Addison, he has 3 games against the Bears in his career. And so far, he has, in those 3 games combined, he has 17 catches for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's pretty much catching everything he gets, right? Is there any hope that we can not get gashed by him again? You know how the Bears deploy their defense. Jalen Johnson has one side of the field. Tyreek is the other side of the field. But we've seen teams go at the side of the field with Tyreek Stevenson. Whoever Tyreek's lined in front of, that is where the ball is going. We know this. Is there any hope that
we saw Jalen actually do some shadowing of Justin Jefferson the last time the Bears played, which is unusual because, like you said, the Bears usually leave their corners on one side of the field. We did see Jalen shadow Justin. Tyreek Stevenson has not played good football since the Commanders game in a subsequent venue. Jordan Addison, on the other hand, has played good football. He had a little injury bug this year. But he's played a lot of good football this year. I don't think he can repeat the game he had against us, but I don't think we'll be limiting him. As you said, people have been going at Tyreek Stevenson like crazy. They've been going at Terrell Smith like crazy. I even saw Kyler Gordon get beat bad by Juan Jennings last week, and Kyler's usually very solid. So Jordan has a favorable matchup. Just call it what it is. He's got a favorable matchup.
Over under 85 yards for Jordan Addison.
Under slightly. Under slightly.
So what I'm hearing is that 1, Sam Darnold will have less than 300 yards. 2, Aaron Jones will have more than 70 yards. And 3, Jordan Addison will have under 85 yards. It sounds like the Bears have a shot at winning this game.
Oh, yeah. This is a division game. Let's the Bears are going to be competitive. I think after being in Bears last week, we're going to see a concerted effort to come out fired up. I would hope after last week you come out fired up. But I think you're going to see a more focused Bears team that's going to be able to play a better game on both sides of the ball. And I think the defense, after being in Bears like that, I feel like this team would be more fired up and focused. Then again, they've made a fool out of me of a lot of my predictions over the last 7 weeks. So I did not think that there was any way they'd come out and lose to the Patriots. I was stunned. Thought we would get our first win against the Packers. Surprise. You know, I figured we knew how to handle the end of games. Surprise times 3. It's hard for me to get into a safe space of predicting what the Chicago Bears are going to do because they've been pretty unpredictable. With the only thing that's been predictable was losing. It's just how you're going to see the losses. They've done it in every possible way these last 7 weeks. They've lost games they shouldn't have lost. Commanders, Lions, Packers, Vikings. They've lost to teams they shouldn't lose to. The Patriots, possibly Cardinals. So with the way the Bears have been going, it's hard to predict. The only thing I can say is I'm leaning towards a loss.
And I'm not even going to ask you to put a prediction out there because I want you to get on that healing track. I want you to come healed. This is the beginning for you to do the work and release some of that trauma that the Bears have put on you. Me, on the other hand, I'm a lost cause. I'm gonna call this game. I got the Bears losing 20-21. The Vikings escaped with a last second field goal. We put a valiant effort out there, and it just wasn't in the cards for us. We get closer to a better draft position. That's where I'm going with this.
Jets and Jaguars play each other this weekend. One of them has to have 4 wins.
Yeah.
Right? Can they both lose? Can the Jets and Jaguars both get out there, play each other, and both lose? Is it possible?
I think don't the Jets have 5 wins already?
No, they have 3.
The Jets have 3 wins?
Arent has been terrible. Arent has been awful this year.
Yeah, yes, but
he's dragged that whole team down.
He's dragged New York down. Yeah, you're right. They are 3-10. Wow. Yeah. So what we need out of that, we need the Jaguars to win. Right? Because we had the tiebreaker with them with the head-to-head. So we need them to win. And we need them to. In
the draft, the tiebreaker is different. It goes by strength of schedule. So because the Bears have played a very big strength of schedule, anybody with 4 wins is going to draft ahead of us. We played the That's the sucky part about the NFL draft. It goes by strength of schedule, not head-to-head wins. So unfortunately, anybody we're tied with is going to be drafting ahead of us. I know that's crazy, but that's how the strength of schedule works. And with the Packers, Vikings, and Lions all being double-digit teams in our division, and us having 6 games played against them, we're not winning any tiebreakers for draft position. In fact, we have 4 wins, and we're currently number 9.
Yeah. Number 9 draft picks. They haven't been my favorite as of late. So yeah, one of them has to win. So hopefully one of them gets 2 more wins throughout the season. Help us right this ship. So I got the Bears losing last second field goal. Maybe that's more traumatic. Maybe that's more trauma for Bears Nation. I hope you come to the realization. Hope you make your peace with the 2024 season. Like we just ain't got it. Let's move forward. Let's look ahead. I know it's cool for Chicago fans to trauma bond, but let's start doing the work and getting past this. And we start doing the work by getting past this as I said, we accept where we are right now and we move forward to that draft. Bears would get a top of the line fat boy.
Please. On either side of the ball.
You're going to get the best one off the board in this draft. There's the light at the end of the tunnel. That starts our redemption.
I've already got my eye on about 3 of them.
Right.
Like that Will Campbell from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Graham from Michigan. He is Kelvin Banks from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Give me one of those tackles, or any tackle, defensive tackle or outside or left tackle. Please protect Caleb.
I don't think you can go wrong with getting a round belly from Michigan. I think that's what they're good at producing, those guys, right?
Yes, they are.
And they're smart. I mean, you went to Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. So, all right, you. We'll be back to do our review after the game. When we gonna do this? Tuesday? I don't know. When we gonna do
Tuesday, Monday. Depends on how depressed we are Monday night.
All right, man. Bear down.
Bear down.
Thanks for listening to this latest edition from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Whether you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And all my homies from Chicago, we say 3 things: bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.